one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 1, approve the agenda, pay the claims, approve the minutes, and there's 2 special designated liquor licenses, both for wedding receptions.
On the minutes, Trinity Church for the landfill, I abstained
You did.
on that vote.
That is correcto.
So noted.
Yes. And we're just approving the special designated liquor license for these wedding receptions. We don't have to approve the public safety and the COVID crisis, so. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Aldrich.
Second.
Gibbons.
Simpson.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Herbaugh.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Thank you. It's now time for the public forum. If anybody has anything to present to the council, now is the time. I would, I think Ron Tillery give us some, for the Veterans Memorial. This is something that PCDC put out, so pass that along, and that's a pretty good deal. Okay, I'll close the public forum. Item 3, adopt resolution 2020-04, authorizing the mayor to sign the 2020 municipal annual certification on a program compliance form. I think you read this is a new form that the state came out with, approving that we do have a street superintendent, which is good that we get, I think, $6,000 a year, but it just, so we are in compliance.
I move we approve. I'll second.
Sisson, seconds.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Herbaugh.
Yes.
Fuker. Oops. Johnson.
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 4, consider the second reading of ordinance 2440, amending section 10-117 of the Ordinance Municipal Code to allow the sale of alcohol beverage on election day. This will be our second reading.
Second reading, ordinance 2440. An ordinance to amend chapter 10, article 1, section 10117 of the Holdridge Municipal Code related to alcoholic beverages, hours of sale. To repeal all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, to provide for the severability of all parts hereof, and to designate the time described when this ordinance shall be in effect. Be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Holdridge, Nebraska.
Motion to. Has council heard any feedback from the community one way or another?
I would move to approve.
Second reading.
I would move to approve the second reading.
McDermott moves, makes a motion. Seconded by
I'll second.
Mike Sisson.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Herbaugh.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mary, final reading.
I haven't heard anything from the public. Clears the books.
Oh, you know how I feel about suspending the rules. Would we have to suspend the rules in order for it to take effect before?
No,
Then-
election is November 3rd.
So, yeah, I don't need to suspend the rules.
You what?
I would not need to suspend the rules, we'll just put it on again.
Okay. Not a problem. Another 2 weeks for any public input. So. Okay, thank you. Item 5, discussion of the proposed final draft of the City of Holdridge for 2020-21 fiscal year budget.
And they put me on my own tonight, so. We talked a little bit about the changes that she had made. You look at the first three, sales tax and structures improvements. Those were done to meet the requirements of the lid, to stay under the lid. And the next couple of 1107, 8,000 and 8,002, those are principal and interest figures that are actual, and she had to change those in here, so they're new for, they're accurate for this budget. 111, 0, 1006, and 1028, those are FOP wages. She added some to there in case they decide to give a wage increase in negotiations, and that has to support any wage increase that you might allow. 111, 29, 104 is sales tax, just reclassifying to meet the lid. Again, the lid is a very important part in the budget, find out. 11, 29, 709, those are grant proceeds, and those were for Guston Street. We're not gonna receive the funds and disperse the funds until next year. So she had them into next year's budget, but they were already in this year. She had to move them over.
Will that affect any of the lid or anything?
That does not really affect the lid because they're grant proceeds. So it is a capital improvement project, but I don't know that it is all ours because it's half of the county.
County, okay.
111, 27,042, just a cash change to help with the lid. Principal and interest, those are adjustments made to our existing debt right now, so debt that's in existence, and she had to make those adjustments to be accurate. General work increased, and then we'll skip one, so 411, 71,008, and 431, 91,008. Those are basically the same as the FOP wages, so she increased those in case she would allow an adjustment to wages. And then the 421, 88,002 interest was increased to $1,500 just because of our debt service, and it's going to take that to allow the correct amount for our debt service. And I don't know which debt service because there are more than one. And that's it. I think that's the whole list. So did you have any questions specific to the budget or numbers? I marked a lot of things and visited with Mary about it, and I think, as Bob always said, you have to do what you have to do to stay under the lid. That's what Mary is doing.
Our work comp is increasing by 40%.
It is increasing by 40%, and that's an accurate number.
That's not a guess, that's just,
I think at the last meeting, I gave you an overview of some of our cases. And many of them are work comp, and if you look at the work comp cases, you'll see why. There's some incredibly high ones, and yeah, and there isn't really anything to do about it. There's nothing to fight or say, no, it didn't happen. I think some people think work comp, insurance, a lot of people think pays for something, and really what it does is it pays it forward, and then you end up paying it back in premiums over time.
We've done pretty well, haven't we, Dane, on work comp for several years?
We have, but we had a couple of big ones this year. And in fact, one of them didn't happen this year, it happened the year before, but we're still paying out on it. Technically, the other ones are all minuscule, but we've just had a couple that were big. And they're ongoing. And one of them's in court, so that gets more expensive.
police officer wages, and that's always a flexible thing with holidays and vacations. And we do have a part-time officer now who helps fill in. But I'm glad to see that we're increasing that budget a little bit, because I think it scares the sheep when we're in the red.
When we're walking down, and,
Put them in the chicken coop.
yeah.
And the red's not blood, it's just
Just ink.
deficit.
Just ink.
Dane, do you know what the county gave the library this year? What is their standard
I think that-
amount?
I wouldn't say for sure, but I think their standard amount, and I can't remember what that is.
150,000.
150,000, I think they stayed there.
Okay.
I can call and ask for sure.
I would remember, I thought saw something in the paper on that.
Yeah, I did too, and I don't remember what
I
it was.
would like to know that.
Okay.
I thought maybe they might have increased
I
that a
did
little bit.
too. I
Is that
thought
what-
they increased
Sorry about
it.
that.
Yeah.
I was thinking they increased
did.
maybe like 3% or something like
No.
that on it, or
Seems
It's all
like
over
they
in
did.
it's been
that.
enough time since I don't remember.
But we usually increase that by 3% a year too.
We've always,
We always
Boy,
do.
it
Increase them,
wouldn't
but
pay
they
the
don't.
difference usually.
They don't very often.
That's usually about what they ask for, and we just
Pay
agree
the
with it.
difference, you know.
I don't think he'd given that, that's okay. I mean,
At least they're helping out.
yeah, there's going to be discussions about the library coming up. They're gonna need some of that information.
Mhm. Okay, I'll find out for you. Anything else?
Not for me.
What's that? Department heads have anything as far as capital improvements on their plans?
Gave it all to Mary, I did, for switches and stuff out on R7 and switches out at the east sub. We've got 13th Street in there, so she knows them all mine. We discussed it.
I did the same thing I gave her last. The biggest thing right now would be a new water well.
I did the same thing at dealing with looking at our console, police console, and improvements that we need to make that we're kind of on a payment thing, and then, so that's in there. Same hasn't changed from last year. Dealing with having to upgrade, we're planning in early, maybe 2022.
We'll let it go.
You put that in pen or pencil, Chief, 2022?
Well, I just talked to them again today for planning in early 2022, whether I'm here or not. You never know.
Cool. Any questions?
Is she gonna have a final budget ready?
She's, yeah, still crunching numbers, but it'll be ready for the 15th, and I'm sure it'll be ready before that, so if you really want to see the budget before that, let us know.
Okay.
We'll get it to you.
Has to be approved by the end of the month anyway.
Clock's gonna be ticking, isn't it?
Do it on the 15th, and it has to be in, the 20th actually is the date, that's a Sunday, so they're allowing the 21st, but if you know Mary, she would have had it there on the 18th.
Yeah.
So,
Mary?
I was approached a while back by the recycling center. They accrue a landfill fee as a result of taking the garbage out of the recycling that they receive. And the gal out there wanted to know if there'd be any way we could help with their landfill fees. I think she said it was about $1,500 a year. And that would help them continue their sustainability and their mission. And I think the recycling center provides a service to us in that all those recyclable materials that they're dealing with, they're keeping that out of the landfill and therefore extending the life of our landfill. And I talked to a couple of you guys about this, but I wanted to float the idea of would we be able to pick up their landfill fee, and if so, what fund might that come out of? Again, I think it's about $1,500 a year. Thoughts on that?
Well, a lot of people in town think the landfill was behind the corner nugget. And they had to pay for everything that people dropped off and, you know, they couldn't use. You know, I'm a little concerned that opening the door that we can just put it in the dumpsters and the city won't charge for their landfill fee with recycling center. You know, I approached the people at Mid Nebraska about labeling all the doors and making sure that you break down the cardboard and don't put trash there. But I don't know how the council feels about that. I'm like you, I appreciate everything that Mid Nebraska does as far as they keep a lot of stuff out of the landfill. And I don't know how to approach the stuff that they do have to pay.
I know they have put the signage on their cardboard trailer and stuff that sits up there at the grocery store as far as don't leave trash, or might even say something about being prosecuted, I don't know, but, or it's littering, but I think it's kind of helped somewhat, but you still see people dumping stuff up there they shouldn't.
I've seen some stuff in there, and there was some plastic fenders in there here a while back.
Plastic.
They're not stamped with their recycling. It's just, you know, it's trash. Why some people would throw trash in there? It's just, they don't want to. You know, surely they have dumpsters at home, but I don't know.
So for this particular organization, I feel like that the work that they do is saving us money in the long run by extending the length of our, you know, of our landfill being operational, by keeping this stuff out. But your concern is that if we're paying that trash bill for them, that citizens might take advantage of that and start dumping more trash into the recycling bins?
That would be a concern I have. They don't have to pay for their garbage to throw it away. You know, there's enough people who throw junk and stuff that should be in the landfill. You know, I don't know how to monitor that. And I totally agree that they save the life of our landfill. They do a good job. But where do you draw that line here?
I guess I draw it at, you know, the organizations that are saving us that money. As far as people throwing more trash into those recycling bins as a result of us picking up their annual landfill bill, honestly, I don't think enough people pay attention. If we say, you know, this budget season that we're gonna start paying for that, well, it'll be in the paper, but I don't think that would necessarily result in more people putting trash in there. The people that are gonna do it are already doing it. The people that have morals that aren't gonna dump trash into the recycling bins, they're still not gonna do it.
I think that's kind of a valid point. I don't know if people would pay enough attention that we're covering it,
Yeah, no one's gonna,
you know.
it would be a benefit to the recycling center, but
They probably think that we're already covering it, since it's down there, you know, affiliated with the landfill where it sits, so.
I think, didn't Mosaic approach us several years back? They like.
That's a little different type of recycling,
Yeah.
because they were reselling product.
They were selling stuff.
As far as.
And with the markets low for the recycling, the cardboard, there's not much market there, I don't think. And I don't know what their profits are like.
Probably not very good. It's, like I say, that stuff's.
They're subsidized by the state with some of the clients that they have. But I'm not,
Well, to me, it's quite a bit different than Mosaic or the Corner Nugget, and obviously they could use the help if they're coming to you about it, so I think the risk is worth the reward for us.
so is that something we wanna think about doing then?
I mean, I would be open to it. I don't think $1,500 is something to get too worked up over right
I'm not
now.
terribly opposed to it.
can we do it on a short term?
I mean,
Well, we don't have to do it
maybe.
next, we could, you know, do it this year and see, and then
Yeah,
we
we
can
could
do
do
it
a
the next
trial.
year.
Put them on probation. and then
We
see
have,
if
we
can
have a
start
tight
putting
budget.
A bunch
To
of
get
trash
them
in
to
there.
$5,000, then you better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she could provide us with what their landfill bills.
Their landfill fee, I think their landfill, no, that's our operation fee, that's not their landfill fee.
Yeah.
Kim would know more about that.
We subsidize them pretty good the way it is, but I'm not opposed.
And we should. Kim, how do they bring that all over there? Do they have a trailer that they keep all their trash in and
I believe so.
bring it over every once in a while?
I think so. I mean, it could be an easy fix. We did buy a container or a 3-yard box to put out there because we've had numerous elderly that come out there just because they like to do the drive. But if it's been muddy, they are able to dump it in this container that we have sitting on the south side. They can just dump it in there and then they could leave. So if they'd want to do their trash once a week, they could just take it over there in bags and put it in that 3-yard container that we already have.
Is that before the scale or?
That's after the scale.
Oh.
Darn it.
Randy, if you have one bag, go to the back side, or just get home, put it in.
It's south of the scale.
Yeah, it's south of the
north
scale.
of the scale.
I think we should have one on the other end, on the north side.
Sometimes we probably should.
Which would you rather? Cover it or offer them access to that?
I would let them have access so they could just do it once a week. They could just walk over and put it in there, put it in that 3-yard tote we have.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I mean, that would just,
Their volume can't be, I mean.
that's why I say if they could do it on, I mean, the street department right now, we go around every Friday and do all the downtown trash and all the parks. If they could get in a rhythm, that's the first thing they do on Friday mornings is dump trash bins. They could take it over there and throw it in there and then we could dispose of it then.
Let's try that.
Well, we'll leave it out of the budget and I can send her, your way to coordinate.
I could talk with
Would that
Nikki.
be all right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Do you want to do that temporary or just,
Well, we can, yeah, we
It
can
gets to be
monitor
a
it.
problem.
We can monitor it. If it ends up being
okay,
overflowing every week, we know we got a problem.
Yeah.
sounds great.
Thanks, guys.
If we bring
Good.
over 10 yards of trash, we might
Well, we're not gonna buy a bigger dumpster.
So I can take my trash over.
I did not say that.
I'll get shot, and rightfully so. Okay, any other concerns?
I have a question, Dane, on the Lake Seldom. There's 100,000 in there
Okay?
for improvements. Is that just to get under the lid?
Yes.
Shot.
That's for burning the Lake Seldom a couple times a year.
Okay, I'm not gonna say any more about
digging in
Lake
the definitions again, aren't you?
Seldom. I'm searching. I'll be quiet.
The lead bill has been a nightmare for Bob. Mary's run into, how to put the numbers in.
Mary is very familiar with it and she does an excellent job. You just can't say enough about her.
She probably knows it better than we do in Lincoln.
Really, it amazes me once in a while, she say, well, I called the treasurer's office to check. And she was right, but she did call and check,
She's good.
yeah.
Okay. If not, we don't have to make a motion there, with just discussion, we'll move on. Open discussion. Chief?
The only thing I'd like to say is the city auction that had been postponed in May is scheduled for the 17th of this month, third Thursday of the month, the 17th. Gates to open at 5 o'clock and the sale will start at 5:30. An auctioneer is already lined up. We have numerous vehicles that will sell, some bicycles, and a little bit of stuff that's been found and turned into the police department, but not a whole lot. So basically it will involve more vehicles and bicycles. 5 o'clock, gates open, 5:30 is when the auction. in case it's bad weather, it'll be the next Thursday, the 24th. So if it's inclement weather, it'll be on the 24th.
Dennis, can I bring down some bicycles?
If you wanna do that, we'll auction them off. You're not getting the money, man. We don't get much for bicycles, and too bad we can't sell them in the spring, because in the fall, I think we'll get almost nothing for them. But
Bicycles are a hot commodity this year with COVID and everything.
I sold one for $275 the other day.
Did you?
Sight unseen.
Yeah.
Sight unseen.
Joseph's couldn't get any more bikes. I
I
saw
thought I
them in
wasn't
the
riding it, so I
spring.
sold
and
it.
I think he got 6 bikes this spring and they said, that's it.
really,
They're done. Okay.
that's it.
And you went to Officer Poole's graduation, I presume?
Yep, he's doing well. Caleb Erickson calls him Jean Poulet. He's our French officer, I guess, instead of John Pooley. And he was back working today with Caleb, and we'll be working with Caleb for a little bit, and then he'll switch and go with both Sergeant McIntyre and Sergeant Jones before he's released on his own.
Officer Warner's not gonna get a chance to?
Well, he had him first before he went to the training center, yes, because we had him a little while working before the training center, he went to the training center, so, yes, Officer Werner has, worked his.
He's had his input.
Worked his man.
So that's why I had to go retrain him.
He's got, you
I
got
didn't
good
say
Jeff,
that.
you gotta do that.
Thanks, Chief.
Break him in.
Dane?
I spoke with Kara Faber a little bit today about the ball field project. They will be meeting tomorrow to discuss more how PCCF will fit in with that project and how they will guide us. So I'll have a little bit more information then at the next meeting, but she's, of course, very positive and upbeat about it, so I look forward to that.
I talked to her a little bit one day too. It sounds like she's trying to wrap her head around
Yeah.
getting something
Yeah.
going, so hopefully we can keep going.
Get the right people in the right places.
Oh, can I jump back to the budget just a little bit? South Park Tennis Court, multi-purpose area. Was that in this budget?
Yes, it is, and I had talked to a couple of contractors pertaining to that. They were not available to do it this fall, so I need to bring it to my committee's attention to see when they want to put it out for bids. And so we need to, I gotta meet with the utility committee, the next council meeting, so maybe the first meeting in October we'll meet and figure out when we're gonna go out for bids and hopefully get a spring completion date like we did with Guston Street.
Okay. Sorry, I just didn't ask that at the pertinent time. Randy?
Kim, I looked at my cameras here a few days ago to see what was traveling around the street, and I saw this strange vehicle come by with flashing lights.
Just be careful, don't jinx it.
What is that?
I didn't recognize it. You know, it was dark. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I go, okay.
Yeah, he's been going for a week now. And then he won't be shut down for a while.
Time to start over.
Yeah, he's gonna do he did the highways and the snow routes first. And downtown, and he's doing the whole town. And then next week he's gonna do downtown again, and so,
It's a welcome sight
yeah.
in our community.
It
It
is,
breaks down.
it's unreal when you look at the streets, how bad they are when you do not have one.
No, I know.
I texted him after he come by our house. I heard this strange noise. I didn't recognize it. But I moved wife's vehicle on the other side, and after he left, I said, I don't know what they did to that street sweeper. It looked like they must have had a vacuum on it. It did a whale job. That was cool. Mr. Johnson?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Work on it next time.
Well, I see the state refused our
stop signs, so.
Right, you got the letter, I received that, and I put it in the packet. They, you all read it, it was denied, so. Like it did not, the study did not warn anymore any additional signage or whatnot, so.
No.
Weird.
We tried.
I know, we tried.
That's all we can do. We contacted, we tried. It's in their ballpark, so,
Let's hope there's no more wrecks there.
yeah.
Public needs to start a petition.
Ben doesn't need anything else to do up there.
It's been busy.
McDermott,
Nothing, thank you.
Sisson,
Nope.
Simpson.
I'm thinking real hard, but there's nothing up there.
You need an aspirin.
Yeah.
Brian,
I don't have anything.
Kim,
Just to reiterate, I'm working on water and sewer rates. I'm gonna meet with the utility committee next council, before the next council meeting. But I will have, for the council, I'm putting together comparison rates and from different towns. I'm also putting in there, some comparison between residential and, commercial, what it's gonna do to their billing. Do not hesitate to call me if you have any questions on it. I hope I don't overload you with information, but I'm getting as what I can. And I want you to review it for a whole 2 weeks before we look at it, and then I'd like to come to the first meeting in October for the resolutions.
sounds good. You want something else?
I did, something popped in there. So you're moving some poles out to the new pole yard and stuff.
Yeah,
together.
we're,
So you're
when we get a little
starting
free
the transition.
time, we shuffle. We're getting pretty busy right now with
Yeah.
jobs, but
But it's working out good as far as
yeah.
the way the racks and stuff are set up for it. so.
Yeah, it's gonna work out great. We're slowly but surely fixing up the shop down there too on free time, and we got the asbestos. Kim got a hold, we had some asbestos on the tile and the ceiling.
No.
So we're waiting for them to come in and clean that out. They didn't want us in there much more until they get in there to clean it. And then we'll get some tile put back in there. They're gonna put the tile in, the same company.
Okay.
Slowly but
Good.
surely.
Be nice to give Jason a little light and fresh air in our inventory, and be so much handier.
Yeah. Yep.
Rod,
At the last meeting, Dane and I reported on the Smiley case, so we hadn't been given all the information at that time. The first thing that happened in that case that we reported on was a motion to dismiss filed by the city's insurance carrier. That motion got denied, and that's what information that Dane and I were operating on when we talked to you. Since then, we have learned that our insurance carrier filed a motion for summary judgment in the Smiley case, and the city's insurance carrier prevailed on that motion. So now it's up to Mr. Smiley's insurance company, State Farm, to appeal that if they want to appeal that. So the information they put in their notes was correct. We just hadn't been informed about all the other steps that had been taken, which is no big deal, but I mean, I just wanted you to know that for now, we're waiting to see if State Farm's gonna appeal that. The other thing I wanted to point out, in Kim's notes, in the new Crew subdivision, there's several items that he's pointed out to you, and I wanna make sure you all notice those items. There's also a problem with the 10th Street not meeting engineering specs and being up higher than it is. And my feeling is it's probably time for the city to document some of that, put it in writing to Olson and let Mr. Mesner know, because I think he'll want to fix those items.
Can I elaborate on that? Brian and I are gonna do a walkthrough next Tuesday at 1 o'clock with Jess Herbert and Jacob Ryder, prior to meeting with the contractor and whoever else is gonna be involved with it. So yes, it will be brought up to Olson's next Tuesday. We will go through our punch list with everything, because there's some additional things over there that got brought up. The curb inlets are not poured. There was a crane that tipped over and damaged the street. And so there's be some additional items that are gonna come up, but we're gonna do a walkthrough with a consultant first. So, yeah, we're gonna address it.
And I think you ought to put it in writing with them.
Oh, it will be, correct, there will.
Cruise subdivision,
ADA
my understanding,
Yes.
can't see trees for the forest, and the forest is the sunflowers and everything else.
From my understanding, they were supposed to be getting it handled. I think, the chief has commented on it too, and they were supposed to be getting it taken care of.
We contacted Olson. Jess called Gene McElhaney, and because those weeds, we can't even see what we need to keep doing up there, so they're supposed to be knocking them down, but we can't even see where to bore and put anything in, and the valves, and we don't know where everything's at. So it's a
Yeah.
mess up there.
We were in hopes they weren't gonna herd the buffalo through there tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
knock them down like a
They had
down.
buffalo in there.
I have a question, Mayor, for Kim. Can they occupy those duplexes over there when this doesn't meet city code?
They are.
Well, they are occupying it right now, but, the city has not taken it over. It's not ours yet. And I do believe the council allowed them to build before infrastructure was done because of their granting purposes. I don't know if there's anything written into that standpoint about occupying, but I do know that they needed to get done by a certain date so they get their grant. And so, where it's still not the city's, because I'm not gonna accept it until, as Rod said, we get that stuff fixed. So it's still private, in my opinion.
There's ADA problems there, that's,
Oh, yeah, there's many ADA problems, but like I said, I'm not gonna accept it for the city until these problems have been. So in my opinion, it's still a private development at this point in time.
And it may be a while. In my notes, we noticed there's no layout for any streetlights at all. They got missed. One of my guys brought it up to me. I went up there, I'm like, yeah, and I went and looked at the two set of plans Kim does have, no streetlights at all. So we brought that up to him, and I'm waiting to hear back from Gene McElhaney, because Jess told me to make sure that they match our specs with all of our steel poles and stuff in town, so it looks the same.
They're
So
not
I
gonna
would-
put solar lights up?
Not solar, but LEDs.
Who pays for the lighting then, the street lighting?
When it gets turned over, I'm sure it'll be us. We pay ourselves for all the
No,
street.
but who puts it, who pays to
Oh,
put
to
it
build
in?
it, you mean? Or
Yeah.
put it in? I'm guessing them. It's private. That's gotta
Before
be-
we accept
that's
it.
part of their deal,
That's
yeah.
what I wanted.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes. Yes.
Totally. It should be there.
fire department had a question about the fire hydrants at one time, I don't know if that got resolved to their satisfaction or not.
Well, the fire hydrants needed to be put in according to the Department of Health and Human Services, because they have guidelines, and before the water line can be installed, it's gotta be approved by them, by DHHS, so.
Yeah, we also wanna make sure that the fire department's got fire hydrants where they want them in addition to what's required.
Correct.
Then they got the sidewalks, aren't they all supposed to be 5 foot?
Sidewalks are required to be 5 foot on the plans, and they're 4 foot, and there is no curb cutouts for the walks. So we have a numerous list
And there's valves.
in the sidewalks.
sidewalks.
We've got numerous lists
Not
that goes
supposed to
there.
Water valves?
Yeah, there's water valves in the sidewalks with tracer wires sticking up out of the concrete.
Really?
Yeah, that are gonna get mowed off, so we'll have no way to hook up to them to locate the water main. It's just one thing after another we're finding.
Was Olson supposed to be the inspectors, or who's?
We are not sure on that.
Well, once again, it's a private, and so, as to my understanding, the Olsons were supposed to be, but we don't have any control of how they came and inspected things. I mean, once again, if it was a city, they would have been there about every day, overseeing the installation of the sewer line, overseeing the installation of the water line, overseeing the compaction of the soil for the paving. And whereas it was private, I don't know what they inspected.
And And on one more note, while we're talking about all this, so in case you guys drive by and you see that pole, it's in the middle of the intersection.
Don't hit the pole.
Right at 11th and East Street, there is a pole in the street yet. And I was not talked to about it. I got a phone call one day and they asked me when I'm moving the pole. I said, what pole? They told me where it was. They were already pouring around it and needed it moved. Well, I'm waiting to hear back from Olson. They can't find out where the property lines are on the west side of East Street for sure. There are some found before that Lance found when he was starting to do that East Street, but they're saying those must have been put in, and Lance said they weren't put in. They've been there forever, and I'm still waiting to hear back on, that's an angle pole, and we've got to put a down guy down, and I can't have it on private property, or if I do, I got to get a easement from Mike Button. So that pole's sitting there with weeds that tall growing around it now in the street.
Do we need pylons around there? Because it does stick out.
It does. I haven't been up by there for a while, but.
There's not a lot of
maybe we
traffic on
should
that.
put- Yeah, maybe I could put
We,
cones
yeah,
there.
we can put something around it.
Anyway, so that, it's not me to hold up there. We'll move it as soon as we can. I've had the general contractor call me 3 times wondering, and I said, I'm waiting, sorry. So,
Sounds like we need to get some goats.
Yeah, the weeds are bad. I drove by there today. It's, they're tall.
The buffalo would knock it down. The other thing is, we are advertising for a city attorney, or not attorney. Administration, it starts with A, administration. We're paying $2.50 an hour for the attorney. But we are extending that timeline till the end of the month, to the 30th. Dane has sent out several packets. We haven't, nothing has come back to me yet, but we'll extend that for a little while longer. And,
I was gonna suggest that you just do a week like we did out on Iron Horse Development.
oh. Well, we're going to extend it a little longer. So, other than that, this meeting is adjourned.